Welcome in for the final edition of the MVC Rawlings First Pitch. Joe Healy from D1Baseball.com alongside, and our final visit with every coach in the Missouri Valley Conference as the tournament in Evansville is just around the corner. And our first stop is with Belmont's Dave Jarvis. And Coach, a successful weekend, taking 2 out of 3 against Missouri State. How did it happen? How did it go down? Tell us about it.
Well, both Friday and Saturday games were, really outstanding competitions. Both teams had leads at different times, and it kind of went back and forth, the whole contest in both of those games as to who was going to end up having the edge. But our kids did a really good job of maintaining their focus, and our pitching staff, I thought, was outstanding, holding down a tremendous offensive ball club in Missouri State and being able to give us the opportunity to scratch out enough runs to win both Friday and Saturday. It was a great way to win the weekend, no doubt about it.
Speaking of run scoring, how much of a luxury has it been for you guys in your order to have, Landers and Heaton doing what they've been doing for you guys all season?
Yeah. We've got a senior laden lineup especially in the top half, the top 2/3 of our lineup are older guys that have been here and done that before. And so, of course, Landers and Heaton carry a heavy part of that load, but they get protections on both ends from guys like Jack Rando in the 2-hole, and then Sam Slaughter leading off. And then behind Brody, it's been a big key what Blake Barton's been able to do in giving both, because that gives protection not only to Brody Heaton, but a little bit more protection to Mason Landers as well, too. So those slots have all been extremely important in getting our offense kind of revived and up and running. Because early in the season, for the first 4 weeks of the season, we were scuffling a little bit, offensively.
What can you say about how well Joe Ruzicka's pitched for you this year, especially the second half of the season?
Yeah, you hit it on the head, Joe, and the fact that he's really evolved a lot this season. We saw so much talent in him last year as a freshman. We knew what we thought he was going to be capable of doing. Really high character guy, competitive character in him as well too. And then for him to come out this spring and be able to start putting pitches together, pitch after pitch, be able to put innings together, inning after inning. That's been an exciting and you're really excited for him because of who he is as well too, both on and off the field. It makes me as a head coach really get excited for a guy like that when you start seeing him have the success. But Joe's a hard worker, and he's also very talented. He has a lot of character. Usually as a coach, when you see those things, you feel pretty good that it's a matter of time before they get comfortable and all that begins to work itself out.
You guys have settled in now a couple of years in the Missouri Valley Conference, and I know you've had quite a bit of familiarity playing midweek games against Valley teams. But now that you're entrenched in the Valley, what are your impressions, and how do you see Belmont being able to take the next step and competing for championships moving forward?
Well, I think it's just such a great league. It's such a great baseball league. It's a good league in all aspects, but it's such a great baseball league. The coaching staffs in this league, I think, are extremely good. The facilities are good. We're proud to be a part of it. And having looked at it now for this second year from the inside out, there's not been a lot of surprises for me in the things in the adversities that we've run into and some of the successes that we've been able to enjoy, limited, whatever they are. But it's a really good league with really good coaches that put good products out there on the field, and there's no weekends off. There's absolutely no weekends off in this league. Everybody in the league can beat anybody else on any given day in the league is what I would say. And as I say, it's just an exciting part to be a part of this league, and the way it's run and the way it's organized is extremely well, I think.
Couple of keys coming up in a couple of weeks for you guys to make a deep run in the Valley tournament. What's paramount for you guys?
Getting healthy. We've still got some pitchers that if we can get a pitcher or two back from the disabled list, that could be a big factor, even if it's just for an inning or two here or there. That may or may not happen. Excuse me. If you could do that and then try to hit the tournament in a position where you're trending upward. both offensively and on the mound. I watch college baseball a lot, and you can see when teams are beginning to trend upward and beginning to cycle down. And if you catch people on the right weekend when they're trending down, it changes everything. If you run into people when they're trending up, it can be just amazing how much better people can play, because cycles are happening in baseball at every level, even at the major league level, all the time. And so we want to be trending up.
Coach, appreciate the time as always. We'll see you in Evansville.
It's great to see both you guys, Shane, Joe. You all take care. Hopefully we'll see you up at the tournament.
Sounds great. Our next stop is in Peoria. Bradley Braves skipper Elvis Dominguez joining. They dropped 2 out of 3 this weekend. And Coach, I know the season certainly didn't go the way you had hoped. And not that you're going to use the excuse, but I'm sure help had a lot to do with it as you struggled to put together consecutive winning weekends in the Valley. Talk to us about this past weekend and the season at whole.
Well, you're right. I mean, we haven't been healthy all year. It's really kind of, but the guys that have been playing have given us anything and everything that they can. It's just been, we've just been so shorthanded from top to bottom. Currently we have 11 guys that are out. It's just a situation that those are the hands that were dealt. Now, this past week we played, and even at Belmont, we played pretty solid baseball with those guys. And obviously the results weren't what we wanted, but at the same time, we were managed to get at least one game this weekend, each weekend. And now we got Murray State coming up.
With a relatively young team in a lot of places, but a group of seniors for you. What will you remember about this group of seniors? How have they meant to the program?
Well, you brought up a good point. We're probably the youngest team in the league. We'll lose only 4 guys off of this club. A lot of that has to do with the academic requirements at our place, but it's one of those things that those guys were here from where we were good. I mean, 2 years ago we finished tied for second in this league, and that's the one thing I remember about them. And obviously, maybe we didn't do a good job, and the healthy we haven't been the last 2 seasons. So, but I want to remember those good times. Those guys were very instrumental in getting us and continuing us to be at the top of the league. And obviously, they're going out on this note, but I don't want to remember them by doing that. I remember when they were, when we were good as a program.
You mentioned with the injuries, particularly on the mound, that means guys kind of have to step up. I have to imagine one of those guys that stands out to you is Anthony Pothoff. What has he been in the bullpen, and how important has he been to the operation?
Oh, phenomenal. And that maybe we should have started him more, because trying to get somebody on the back end, maybe didn't get as many opportunities that probably could have had, but he's been one of our better arms, one of the most consistent arms. And this on Friday night, for example, I mean, we went from Kisting, who's now, up to about 4 innings after, on the pitch count, and then we go to a middle guy and then finish it with Anthony. It kind of worked to form. It was great to see that, at least we were able to do it here. You hate for it to be this late in the year, but that's the way it should go. But Anthony's been phenomenal, had a great career, and he's really, been our most consistent, one of our most consistent arms.
What are some of the things moving forward, Coach? First of all, with Murray this upcoming weekend, maybe the message to the players, knowing that this is the end of the line?
Well, that's a great question, Shane. I always talk to the guys that, and in this sport or in anything that you do, there usually comes a time when, you no longer get to wear the uniform. You no longer get to have your own say in it. But I want them to understand that, this has been a great journey. And at the same time, they can go ahead and leave their mark, regardless of how many games they play. Obviously, we only have 3 games left, but to go out and just leave it all on the field. And because you don't want to go the rest of your life with regrets or saying, what if, and so forth. And that's just a life lesson. But at the same time, I know we'll compete. It's just whether we can, not make mistakes and play a clean ball game.
And looking forward to this year, before we close this chapter of Bradley baseball, what are a couple of things maybe on your wish list besides full health that you'd like to have next year as opposed to this?
Well, the last 2 have been pretty much the same. I just never had this many guys out. Wish I like for health. Yeah, a little bit of luck. And it's been just the most bizarre injuries. And I think if you go around the league, I think you'll find that the teams that do stay healthy and do have the core players are the teams that are having success. But and the teams that don't obviously are not going to the tournament. It's just been, health is number one, but it's just been such a freak year for injuries in our part that it's I just want to be able to have some options as a coach to be able to do so.
Coach, always great to talk to you. Good luck finishing up the regular season. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Shane. Take care.
All right. Our next stop is in Evansville, and that is going to be an exciting place here in a couple of weeks. And we talked to head coach Wes Carroll as Evansville and Indiana State played a weekend series that really rivaled last year in the Valley Tournament, if you recall, and all were close games. And Coach, it looked to me like it had postseason feel written all over it, that battle between you guys and Indiana State this past weekend.
Yeah, unbelievable baseball. It's Missouri Valley Conference baseball at its finest. Obviously, congratulations to Indiana State. 3 really hard-fought games. There's a reason why they're ranked. There's a reason why their RPI is so high. They just play exceptionally well. But for us to get a game on Sunday, I thought was huge for our club, just confidence-wise going into the tournament. It did have a postseason type of feel to it, and it's exciting. It really is. This time of year, down the stretch, there's a lot of teams that I feel are very capable of making deep runs into this tournament, and it felt like that this Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
What else at this point, Coach, can you say about Mark Schallenberger and just how good he's playing? I mean, it seems like I personally have kind of run out of words about it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. It's been fun watching him. Third base coach's box, seeing him from the side, just professional at bats each and every time he goes to the plate. I feel like he's put up great numbers to be in the running for Player of the Year in this conference. He's been healthy through the whole year. Just that on-base percentage and slugging percentage and everything that kind of goes into it. And then also you see just the unselfish baseball player that he is, getting the bunt down on Sunday that really spark a 2-out rally to be able to get a tack-on run, little things like that. Just, our leader offensively, but also just our leader all together. And it's great to be able to follow him. When he goes, we go. And it's a pretty special year he's putting together.
What has allowed Deverman to be so successful so early in his career on the mound? It's not just the quality, but also, you don't typically get a workhorse like he is at that age. So what's behind that?
A strike thrower, first and foremost. I think that's really puts him in good position. And he's not scared. He's really mature for a freshman. He's got a lot of belief in himself. And he's just really going out there with a 3-pitch mix, but mainly just his fastball command is pretty elite. It's just great. He's stepped up big time for us and be able to put in that Friday spot, knowing we're going to get a quality outing from him. I think he's got a chance to be freshman of the year in this conference and really put himself into being an all-conference kind of starting pitcher in this league. And it's great to be able to have that as a freshman. Just really proud of him and the development and how hard he's worked. And, we really didn't have that freshman lull, which is great for him to finish strong.
It's impossible to predict what's going to happen here in the coming days as you guys host the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament as far as the way your players react. But I know you and your staff have to be thrilled that the Valley Tournament is coming to Evansville.
Yeah, we've been working really hard. A lot of people behind the scenes to really be able to put on a great event. It's going to be great for our community, our city, but also for the Missouri Valley Conference. We want to be able to showcase. It's the first time we've had it since 1998, but we want to make sure that we're in the rotation for the future. And being able to play at home is really key. We're going to have some great crowds, and so it's just going to be a great overall event and student athlete experience for the Missouri Valley Conference players.
And a couple of things, maybe, Wes, that you're looking forward to during the Valley Tournament that means the Purple Aces are going to be there as well, the last team standing. What are a couple of keys for your guys?
Yeah, we're going to have to, have timely hitting, be able to hit with runners in scoring position against some really good arms. This past weekend, what Indiana State's showcasing on the mound is pretty good. And so we're going to have to be able to have big time at bats. The health of Chase Hugg, I think, is going to be crucial if we're going to be able to get him back or not. If not, some other guys are going to have to step up, like Brody Pert, Evan Wagner, to be able to give us, some good offensive efforts. And so 100% comes down to pitching. When you get deep into the conference tournament, guys like Nick Smith are going to need to step up and give us a quality start. Kevin Reed, freshman, being put in, challenging situations, he's going to have to perform well. And then our back end bullpen, I think that's going to be the overall key. But being able to play at home, hopefully in some big crowds. If you look at the seating part of it and the times of day, I think it's going to be crucial for us to hold on to that 2 seed, to be able to play at night on Wednesday. I think be able to play in front of big crowds are going to be really kind of impact how we play. So looking forward to the opportunity. Like I said, I feel like there's a handful of teams that can really do some damage in this tournament. 1 through 8 are all competing and playing well. It's going to be Missouri Valley Conference baseball at its finest.
Coach, appreciate your time as always. Best of luck when we get there. We'll see you in Evansville.
All right, thank you.
All right, the next stop is in Chicago as UIC's head coach Sean McDermott coming up next. They are 15-9 at the time of this visit in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, right in the thick of things for the upper third of the Valley tournament. And Coach, this past weekend, give us a little overview of what you saw from your club and just the season to this point.
Yeah, we put a good effort together, and I feel like our guys have consistently showed up, and we had a little hiccup this weekend. It's our second series we've lost all year, and we're heading down the stretch. Feeling really good about what we've accomplished, but there's more games to play. But you got players like Kendall Ewell and Zane Zielinski and Bissett that are all doing such a great job for us offensively. And then on the back end, if we can get to the back end with Reese Lawler and Ryan Smith, we feel good. It's just getting it to that point and continuing to put a good offensive push together.
You mentioned Kendall Ewell. He's been on a real tear in Valley play. What has he brought to the table? What has he meant to the lineup?
Well, I mean, he's a special player, right? He's in the candidacy for Player of the Year, and I don't think you can put into words what he means to our team. But this is what I'll say is, Kendall's got a chance to break our single season home run record here at UIC, which is special. But the coolest thing is Kendall said, I didn't come here to break records. I came here to win baseball games. And I think he's a winner. He wants our team to be successful. And that's what he talks about with his teammates constantly is figuring out ways to win. And he's just a special guy that way. And I think that gets overlooked with all the offenses. He really is a winner in all respects.
You also mentioned in Lawler. What allows him to succeed the way he does on the back end, whether it's stuff, mentality, strike throwing, all of it? Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, mentality. I think Reese. I think Reese wants the baseball. He's not afraid of those moments. I think anybody that's at the back end of a successful Division I program's got confidence, and they obviously have stuff. But I think the ones that separate from each other are their mentality. And I think Reese brings that mentality of confidence, and I've got a chance to get it done even when I don't have my best stuff. He doesn't dwell on it. He goes out there and figures out a way to win with what he has that day.
Coach, will you tweak anything going into the final regular season series, knowing you're comfortably in the Valley tournament? Anything you're going to switch around, or just things that you might want to tighten up heading into the tournament?
Yeah, I think you might see a little bit of a change in a lineup. Depending on, you're still got an opportunity to get a bye if we can squeak out a few victories here, and that's important. So that would change our pitching the way we set it up. But we're going into Evansville, and we've got to win a couple games to solidify our spot with a bye. So I think you're going to see us go for this weekend, and we're trying to win each game, and that's what we're going to continue to do. And I think if we get ourselves where we win a couple games, maybe we don't pitch somebody on Sunday, but we're working on this weekend first.
And finally, before I let you go, this is your second season in the Valley. I asked Dave Jarvis the same question from Belmont of what, I know you're familiar with the Missouri Valley anyway, but since you're in the thick of it now and trying to kick down the door and compete for a championship, just your overall thoughts, maybe of this particular year in Valley baseball and Valley baseball as a whole from your perspective.
Well, it's just a grind out league. I mean, every weekend you better show up and you better be ready to play. And you have a lot of teams that pose different stresses to your ball club, whether it's high level pitching or explosive offense that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, or teams that can run. I think there's just every team in this league has different ways to beat you. And 1 through 10, every weekend's a grind, and so much respect for the league. Always have had respect for the league, but now being in it, I take a lot of pride in representing our league when we're playing non-conference people. And I respect all the coaches. I think, obviously we're losing a legend in Keith, but so much history here, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And hopefully we're doing our part to uphold the reputation of the league. And moving into the weekend, I think it's going to be on full display, and I think it's going to be awesome for fans to come out and see it. Obviously, Evansville will do a great job putting that on. Got a good venue and a good baseball town, so it should be exciting.
Coach, appreciate your time as always. We'll see you up there.
Joe, Shane, thank you so much.
All right. Our next stop is at Illinois State with Steve Hull with the Illinois State Redbirds. Took 2 out of 3 in the most recent weekend series, 14-10 in the Valley at the time of this visit. Coach, congratulations on a series win. Talk about it for us. What happened?
We played pretty well on Friday. Cam maybe got us off to a great start, and Augie Rasmussen was on fire pretty much the last 2 weeks for us. He's really carried us well, and Saturday we played pretty well on Saturday, but they got a guy named Kendall Ewell that seems to hit every ball that you throw near the plate, and he got us with a couple different swings on Saturday, and then Sunday we were able to keep him at bay, and we played pretty well. Dan Pasella got going. He'd been out with he missed some time with his knee after he made that incredible catch at Indiana State or against Indiana State, and he landed on his knee, and he sat out for about a week, and he came back, and he was kind of scuffling for a little bit. So it was good to see him. He grabbed 4 hits yesterday, and he put us up 3-0 in the first with a homer, and so it was good to see the big man get going again.
Is there something specific behind Rasmussen coming on the way he has to carry the lineup?
Yeah, the specific thing about him is he is red hot or he's ice cold. I mean, that's the Augie that we've known to come to love. He can win player of the week any week there is. And then when he's not hot, he's certainly not hot. And he's been that way for 2 years for us. And he's not the guy to go 1 for 3 with a walk. We have some guys like Dan Pasella seems to go 1 for 3 with a walk for the most part, but Augie's 10 for 10 this weekend, and then the next weekend he's fighting it a little bit. He's a timing guy, and when his timing's going, it's incredible, and he can really carry you. And he gets hot for a while. We like to keep him hot for a couple more weeks here.
Have to imagine you've been pleased with what you've gotten from Maybe and Perry in the rotation.
Yeah, obviously we struggled on the mound last year quite a bit, and to get those guys out there and know that you got a chance to win every time that those 2 humans run out there. And they've been fantastic. Tanner Perry, obviously we picked him up off the portal from a in-conference team, and he's been really good for us, and he's tough to hit, and he pretty much keeps you in the game every single time, and he's been exceptionally good in conference.
Couple of things we can look forward to from the Redbirds to make some noise at Evansville. What are a couple of keys for you guys you think here in a few weeks?
We're offensively driven. That's who we've been all year, and we understood that in the fall, and we understood that in February, and we continue to understand that now in May. The big boys got to be hot. That's who we are. We play well when we're leading. Obviously, I think most teams in the country do that, but it takes a lot of pressure off a fairly young and new pitching staff. I mean, most of our guys on our pitching staff are new to roles, and Cam Maybe's probably the only guy that we have that's, returning to a role guy. So, when the offense goes, and, the pitching staff is much more comfortable.
Still some seeding to play for this upcoming weekend, if you choose to look at it that way. Will you change the way you coach? Will you change the lineup? Will you change anything in the final regular season series of the year?
No, I mean, we know who we are at this point. We just keep doing the same thing, put those guys out there, and, let the bats stay hot. And, if that plays well for us, that'll be who we are, and you go into you can't really change who, how you're doing things and change the way that you're going to go about it. I'm not going to move our closer to starter or anything crazy like that. We just, this is what's got us here so far, and it's going to keep driving it.
Coach, continued good luck and good health. We'll see you in Evansville. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
And our next stop is in Terre Haute as the regular season champion Indiana State Sycamores coming off of a really hard-fought series with Evansville. Mitch Hanna's joining us right now. And Coach, talk about this past weekend and the battle that Evansville gave you and the regular season that you've had to this point.
Yeah, the weekend was a grind. Evansville's got a good club. Of course, they had a good club last year. Every game was tightly contested. It was one of those, it seemed like the bullpens dictated the 3 games ultimately. And we didn't get, again, we didn't get deep starts on the mound, which is something that we have been able to do most of the season, which has really helped us get to the position that we're in. So I think down the stretch, obviously, I'd like to see better starts on the mound so we don't tax our bullpen quite as much.
When we talked to you in this format last time, Coach, you mentioned that it's been a little bit of an adjustment for your defense. The ball's coming off the bat a little harder this year. How have they adjusted to that? Have they adjusted to that? And where are you with your team defense at this point?
Yeah, they have adjusted. Our team defense has been a lot better. I think one of the things that obviously hurts you when you play on the road the first month of the season, you don't get the reps in practice that you really need to get. I think obviously getting back home, being able to practice, being able to take BP before games and use our machines to shoot out some ground balls a little firmer and to move some guys, I think is very helpful. I think the biggest adjustment adapting was just getting some time on the field and getting some time with reps that you really don't get when you play the first month away from home.
And then you alluded to it, maybe not what you were looking for necessarily last weekend, but generally, how much of a luxury has it been that you've been able to bank on the rotation getting you relatively deep into games?
Yeah, I think that's I mean, that's been the separator for us for the, last year with Jasek and Finlong and Miller. It just seems like we were so spoiled only having to piece together the 8th and 9th and maybe once in a while the 7th. This year's been a little different. I mean, we've definitely had to piece some things together. It's been nice, we're getting Jacob Pruitt back. He threw well for us this weekend in relief on Friday. So it's nice seeing him getting back to form. I think that will be a shot in the arm for us moving forward.
You talked about the difference in the rotation. Is that the main thing, the difference between last year and this? Because the record is virtually the same and it looks like you're on the same path. How has this year been different than the year before?
I think, I think the biggest thing last year, we haven't had a guy that's done what Finlong did last year. He was just so dominant all year. He had that stretch of complete games. He had that stretch and he was just so reliable. And Cutts has been that guy for us. Obviously not able to throw the number of complete games that Finlong threw. I think in terms of distance and shortening the game, he's certainly been very important to us. But I think that's been the biggest difference. I think our offense has ticked up a little bit from last year. And I think our overall pitching is maybe a tick lower. It's still been pretty good, but not quite as strong. So I think it's all kind of leveled out in the long run.
For those returners that you have on this year's team, the carryover from last year's, is it a business as usual type of attitude for your guys because they've been there, done that, and they know what it's going to take in Evansville here in a few days?
Yeah, I would tend to say yes on that, Shane. I think the big thing with this group that's been a little bit different. I know I try to watch a lot of games when I'm at home, and my wife really loves that I go home and watch a lot of baseball games on TV, or on ESPN Plus or whatever they might be on. And I see some of the clubs we played and I think, man, that's not the same club that I remember, from a few weeks ago. So this group has done a really good job of handling about everybody's best shot. Last year, it seemed like we kind of came on the scene and we didn't have people really gunning for us in the sense of this year. And I feel like this group's done a really good job with that business as usual mindset, but also understanding you're about to get everybody's best shot and you better strap it on and be ready.
Coach, always appreciate the visit. We'll talk to you in Evansville at the Valley Tournament. Appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate it, guys.
All right, our next stop is in Springfield, and head coach Keith Gutton in his swan song in the Missouri Valley Conference, coming off a 12-0 win in their most recent contest. Coach, if you would kind of describe for us the feeling of the season so far and some of the things that you hope you get hot here in a couple of days.
Well, I think the feeling has been disappointment and frustration. I think, we've had some games we felt like we were in control of and let get away with leads, even sizable leads, giving up big innings. Then when we've been behind early, we haven't hit as well. But, the numbers say we're averaging about 7 to 8 runs a game offensively in league games. So that should be winning more games than we're winning. But we got a huge pitching performance from Jason Shaw yesterday in a game that we really, really needed. Best performance of the year, complete game, 3-hitter, and really was sharp, just walk one.
Also on the mound for you this year, Brant Thompson has been extremely solid. I have to imagine, given his history, that's not really much of a surprise to you and your staff.
No, he's pitched well, and he hasn't been as sharp the last couple games, and we've got to get him back to that. And credit to Belmont, he made a couple mistakes, and they hit him hard. But Brant's been very, very dependable. He'll be out there first game this weekend, and most likely first game of the tournament.
In terms of ceiling, tell us a little bit about Caden Bogenpool's ceiling there. I mean, you've had a lot of good players come through the program. Zach Stewart, as a young player, is right there with him, but he just strikes me as someone who's got a chance to be special if he can put it all together.
Yeah, I agree. And, I don't know if he'll be a center fielder at the next level, but he's been good for us there. It helps our lineup. He's got power. He's at the top, if not leading us in on-base percentage, walks a lot. Had him in the leadoff spot for a while at 6'6", 225. That's a pretty big leadoff man, but he moves well. He moves well in the field and on the bases, has a good arm, and came to us as a two-way guy, but because of some shoulder issues, we haven't been able to pitch him, but that could be in his future as well.
Coach, a couple of keys for the Bears coming up in the Valley Tournament that you can make a deep run. I imagine you're going to lean on your offensive guys as you have the last couple of years. Is it outslug the competition and try to outlast them kind of an attitude?
Yeah, but I don't think you can do that really till you get to about that third game. Everybody's 1s and 2s in this league. Their starters are good. So, you're going to have to match that pitching performance of the other team and get some key hits. And then, as the week moves along, if you're still alive, then you got a chance to really out-hit people.
Coach, appreciate the time. Really look forward to seeing you in Evansville. Good luck.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys. Bye.
All right, our next stop is with Murray State, and one of the hotter teams in the Valley, just completing a sweep. One more series left with Bradley, 14-10 in the Valley. Still a little bit of jockeying left to do. Head coach Dan Skirka joining us right now. And Coach, offensive-minded this past weekend. Take us through the series sweep.
Yeah, but we got a lot of guys right now that are having really good at-bats locked in. But we really got some outstanding pitching also. Cade Vernon was outstanding again on Friday. Jacob Pennington, career high in strikeouts on Saturday. Nate Holler was outstanding out of the bullpen. Yesterday, Bryce Valero and Thomas McNabb were phenomenal out of the bullpen. So, we scored some runs. We hit some home runs, but I don't want to overshadow, what they did on the mound.
Let's talk a little more about the pitching. You mentioned Cade Vernon, second in the conference in innings pitched. How valuable is not just a guy who gives you that quality, but also a guy where you can say, hey, just go out there and the bullpen can just hang out until about the 7th inning, and then we'll have a different conversation.
Yeah, knock on wood, it's been that way for most of his starts this year. He's just been a workhorse. He had a good year last year, finished really strong last year. His last couple outings, his start in the conference tournament was lights out. And then we just talked this offseason about, hey, what can we do to get better? I said, man, you got to be that guy that does just what you're talking about, Joe. And he's done that. And the innings, the strikeouts, the wins, he's been phenomenal for us. Really happy for the year he's had.
Offensively, your team is second in the conference in home runs, first in stolen bases. I have to imagine that's about how you draw it up in terms of wanting that kind of balance of being able to score multiple ways.
Yeah, that's what we talk about day one in the fall. As an offense, your goal is to score as many runs as you can. And, some days that's hitting the ball out of the yard. Some days when the wind's blowing in and they got their Friday guy, their closer on the mound, you got to be able to steal bases and manufacture. And we steal bases, but we also go first to third. We score on doubles. A lot of those things that go into winning baseball games. So it speaks to the athleticism of our guys that they're able to and the versatility that they're able to do both those things.
And one more weekend series left, and still a little bit of positioning left. If things go right, will you switch up anything in the final regular season Valley Series of the year heading into Evansville, or just as is?
No, I don't think so. The guys, for the most part, we're healthy. They're feeling pretty good. I think we've won 3 series in a row. We've won, a couple midweeks here, so they're feeling pretty good. I don't think it's the time to change anything, try anything. Obviously, it's getting down to the end here, and I think some guys are hanging a little bit from playing a lot of baseball. But I think that's everybody, and they gotta find it, mentally to just keep plugging along.
And I have a feeling something about Evansville will magically change their attitudes and the way their bodies feel, because they know a conference tournament championship is going to be on the line. So you won't have to motivate too hard, will you?
No, and this group's been awesome. We haven't had to do a whole lot of motivating. They're a good bunch to coach, and I'm just happy I'm along on the journey with them. But you're right, man. Once we get into Evansville, you'll feel the electricity and the energy, and these guys will be ready to go.
And talk about your status in the Valley, if you will. You guys are now firmly entrenched with all the newcomers in the Missouri Valley Conference. Now you're looking to kind of knock down the door and take that next step. What's that going to take, maybe not only this year, but moving forward in the Valley for Murray State to be a real player?
Well, as you guys know, and really across the country, it's a good baseball conference. Weekend and weekend, it's just battles, and you could see that in the standings this year. And it takes some luck. It takes talent. It takes depth. And you got to play really good baseball. I don't think anybody can really play bad baseball and win games in this conference. So, to answer your question, you just got to keep doing what you're doing, and guys, show up, and you got to keep recruiting really good players and developing really good players. And then, like I said, a little bit of luck and some scheduling, some home series against away series, that always helps. And the timing of when you play some teams, but we like where we're at, and excited to keep moving forward.
Coach, appreciate you. Continued good luck and good health. We'll see you in Evansville.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
And our next stop is Carbondale, Illinois. SIU head coach Lance Rhodes. One regular season conference series remaining before the Valley tournament. And coach, just talk a little bit about the offensive outbreak of the last two games of this past series for you. Got the offense clicking a little bit.
Yeah. I think, the biggest difference in us probably having a chance to really do some damage the rest of the way is we've got to be able to spread that out through more innings the rest of the game. It's been kind of moments where, there's 4 or 5 innings where there's been nothing, and then there's one big inning. And, for us to be more consistent is probably going to be the key. And, hopefully we can, be able to do that over, next weekend and then feel decent going into the conference tournament. And then, how it is, you get hot at the right time and, kind of get things clicking. You can run through a tournament and do some special things, but we really are going to have to do it on a more consistent basis in order for us to really have a chance.
Your lineup actually leads the conference in walks as we sit here today. How important is that from just not a standpoint of taking free passes, all that's important, but also the understanding of finding pitches to hunt and letting pitches go that are not going to be pitches you can drive?
No, we all understand that in order for us to get on base at a high level, we have to swing at good pitches. So, if we go chasing balls outside the strike zone, we know we're not going to put the ball in play with enough authority to actually, to get enough hits. But so obviously we want to take the walks whenever the pitchers on the other side don't give us good pitches to hit. But we also got to do a better job of when we do get those pitches, I mean, we've got to put the bat on the ball with a little more authority on a consistent basis. That's probably just been the biggest issue this year. It's just not been able to string quality at bats together back to back. And, you know, a lot of times it feels like you get something going and there's 2 outs, and it's tough to do that, you know? So, but the good thing is, you know, if we get going at the right time here at the conference tournament, and you know, special things can happen, and that's what we're hoping to do.
On the mound, argument to be made that Aiden Fuller's best starting pitcher in the conference. Certainly in terms of arm talent, he's right up there. Tell us a little about his season, what's made him so successful.
Yeah, I think you know, he's a guy that, again, is coming off of not a ton of experience in junior college due to having a surgery. So I think, you know, his arm ability, his arm talent, especially from like a professional perspective, is very intriguing, and, you know, is on a lot of radars from that side of it. I still think his better baseball pitching days are still going to be in the future, and not necessarily what we're seeing right now, which, you know, is obviously good for him that he's got that high ceiling and it's going to continue to develop. There's probably been some frustration within the season this year because of, you know, without that college game experience, you know, you've seen some of those flaws a little bit this year, but yeah, but from just a raw standpoint of grading out, you know, a professional type of pitcher in our league, I mean, he stacks up with the best of them when it comes to that side of it. But, you know, there's just a lot of things that whenever you miss a majority of your career due to having some surgeries and stuff, you know, he's learning on the run, trying to do that against some really good offenses in our league. And it's not always the easiest thing to do. But I think he's, you know, he's done a great job this year. And, you know, again, he's going to continue to be a better pitcher in the future.
No, you guys aren't going to end up finishing where I think in your mind you thought SIU would. And now, with that being said, how do you convey to the coaches that once you get to Evansville, or the players, I should say, that once you get to Evansville, everybody's 0-0, or do you feel like that they're mature enough to know that, all right, this is the second season, we can do this, we might as well win it all, we have just as good a chance as anybody?
No, I mean, I think that's where, I mean, our mindsets is definitely going to be at. I mean, we have a lot of kids on our roster who's going to be playing in that tournament for the last time in their career. And, you know, our job is to go in and, you know, we definitely don't want to look at probably the longevity of the week, because it looks kind of overwhelming when you know you got to go Tuesday through Saturday. You know, our job is to go in and everything that we have to do, whatever pitchers that we have to throw to win game 1. And if it gets us to game 2, you know, hopefully, you know, we want to stay in the winner's bracket as long as we possibly can. And, you know, we're going to have some people, whether it's on the mound, offensively, we're going to have a couple guys that step up and have like player of the tournament type of performances if we're going to get this thing done. And there's no reason why we can't do it. We have individuals on our team that have that ability to be able to make it happen. And, you know, our goal is to start, you know, on Tuesday, get in the winner's bracket, and then look up and, you know, Friday, Saturday, have a chance to be in that championship, you know, format area. And, you know, hope some, you know, some magic happens for us.
Coach, appreciate the visit as always. Good luck to you, and we'll see you at Evansville.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right. Our next stop and our final stop of the Rawlings MVC first pitch is at Valpo, and head coach Brian Schmack joining us. And coach, appreciate your time. Talk a little bit about the season as a whole for Valpo, and how you would assess it at the end of the season.
Well, I mean, obviously it's disappointing from our point of view. I think internally we had some higher expectations than the rest of the league did, which I understand. But, you know, it just, the league's tough, right? And every weekend it's a dogfight. And, you know, I think we're overall 4-14 in 1 or 2 run games, right? And you get a hit here, you make a pitch there. Maybe things are a little bit different. And, I think the margin for error is so small here that you know, when you don't win those games, and then you start to press a little bit because you got to make the tournament, and then things just kind of snowball out of hand, and here you are, right, sitting at home watching the tournament. So, you know, 6 minutes probably isn't enough to digest what happened in a span of 3 or 4 months, but that'll be our process moving forward.
On a positive side, Bryce Conitzer, second half of the year, really solid for you guys. What allowed him to seemingly get better as the season went on?
Yeah, I think early on first of all, I mean, you know, he's a new guy, and right, and you don't know how he's going to be used, and don't know how his stuff plays in baseball, right, in college baseball here, just except our guys. So he was always kind of throwing strikes. He wasn't as crisp as he was early on. He was getting hit, right, but he was still throwing the ball over the plate, and I think he just kind of started to fine tune little things, got some confidence, and then he kind of took off a little bit too, you know, and he got healthier as it went on. Unfortunately, he got injured in this last start, so he won't be pitching versus Indiana State, but. You know, he seemed to gain confidence and gain trust, and he was tremendous for us.
You've been in an interesting spot where for the last 5 seasons you've coached your son Kyle. What has that experience been like? Generally, probably another question that 6 minutes can't handle. But then also, any advice for dads that might be in your position that are considering the pros and cons of coaching their son at this level? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, do it if you can. It's just been incredible. Just do it. Yeah, you know, got to see him grow up a little bit, right? And that's fun. And I, you know, kind of feel sorry for Mitch in that sense that I got to see his kid not grow up, but like just, you know, in kind of those formative years, and it's been good to see that. And you know, 2 years ago, I kind of asked the league to, you know, make Indiana State our last home weekend so he could see Caleb, you know, in his senior day, and probably regretting it now, right? Because he got it, you know, obviously I think we're officially out of it, but you know, the task going into it was like, okay, we just got to sweep the number 20 team in the country at the end of the year, you know, go get them, right? So, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, a lot of us won't remember those the kind of the records and stuff like that. So him having the opportunity to see him, I think, is going to be pretty cool.
You've already seen the likes of UIC in Evansville. You could see Indiana State, but I know, knowing your relationship with Mitch Hannes, you know what that program is all about. Talk about the run that Indiana State has been on over the last 2+ years.
Yeah, it's incredible, right? And it's funny, we go into this because we usually play them at the front of the season, right, in the conference season. So we, you know, you're kind of watching tape and seeing what they're doing, and you get them on film, and you're like, man, I think there's some holes there, right? I think nothing's overpowering really, except for the starters, but like on the offensive side, it's like, I think we can really pitch to these guys. And then, you know, for us, we walk away being swept, and you're like, what the heck just happened, right? And you know, you go back and they don't make any mistakes, right? Anytime you make one, they capitalize on it. They seem to put together these 4 or 5 run innings that you've seen them do, you know, and come from behind a lot of these times. And they just have this belief that they think they're going to win. And I think that, you know, with the club that they have, and I've heard him talk about that they've got a ton of poise and whatnot, and you can see how they play, right? They just, and we've been there when we were in the Horizon League. You know, it didn't matter how many runs you were down, you just felt like you were going to win games, right? And the years that we're successful, and I'm sure it's the same mentality that they have. So they're just extremely well coached. The guys play with a lot of confidence, and they just play very, very solid baseball, which obviously ends up winning baseball.
Coach, always appreciate your time and your candor. Best of luck next season. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you.
All right, that'll do it for our final installment of the Rawlings MVC First Pitch. My thanks to Joe Healy from D1Baseball.com, Shelby Hild, and Mike Kern from the Missouri Valley Conference. And thanks to you for watching all season long. Hope to see a lot of you out at Evansville for the Missouri Valley Conference baseball tournament.